Salam, peace be upon you. My name is Muhammad Layuk Siddiqui, the father of Holophase. Part 4.6 Claim Typing, Type Discipline. We began by saying that pattern is not decoration. Pattern is the condition under which anything becomes publicly knowable at all. Then we named the primitive, fa, not a thing, not energy, not matter, not a hidden object, but the primitive permission for distinction, the possibility that this can differ from that. Then we gave phi its proper shape. It is not built on a privileged line with a sacred zero. It is circular. That means no absolute origin can be treated as public truth. Only relations matter. Then we accepted the great consequence. What is public is not absolute placement, but invariant relation. Not private coordinates, but what survives lawful transformation. Public pattern science is built from differences, from delta phi, and from the structures that remain stable when labels shift. Then we installed a firewall, the anti-smuggling principle. We learned that hidden assumptions, hidden preprocessing, hidden boundaries, hidden equivalence rules, and hidden interpretations can make noise look like a structure, erase real variation, or turn private choices into fake public truth. So we said, if a choice materially changes the outcome, it must be declared. Now we arrive at another danger. Even if all assumptions are declared, and even if nothing is smuggled, a claim can still fail. Why? Because different kinds of claims require different tests. If we treat one kind of claim as if it were another, we create confusion even in full daylight. That is what part 4.6 is about. This part installs one of the simplest and strongest rules in the whole framework. Every public fee pattern claim must declare its type before evaluation. That sounds technical, but it is really common sense made rigorous. Not every claim is the same kind of claim. A claim that says there is a pattern here is not the same as a claim that says this is the same pattern as that. A claim that says this pattern will continue is not the same as a claim that says this pattern causes that result. A claim that says this pattern means something is not the same as a claim that says this pattern emerged from earlier structure. And if we do not distinguish those kinds clearly, we will apply the wrong test, use the wrong evidence, and misunderstand what would count as failure. So this chapter is the story of how science learns to ask a better question before every argument. What kind of claim is this? The moment we realize not all claims are the same. Imagine a simple morning at home. You wake up, look for your keys, and cannot find them. You say, "My keys are gone." That sounds simple. But what kind of claim is it? At first, it looks like an existence claim. The pattern, keys on the table, is not present in your current window. But your friend says, they are not gone, they are just somewhere else. Now, that is a persistence claim. Your friend is saying the keys still exist and remain themselves, even though you cannot currently detect them. Then you say, I think they are in my coat pocket. That is a predictive claim. You are using a model of your own habits to constrain what will be found next. Then another person says, this means somebody took them. That is an interpretive claim. It reads meaning into the absence. Then you say, I'm going to check the kitchen drawer. That becomes part of an intervention path. You are acting to alter the access conditions and expecting an outcome. Now imagine all of you speak as if you are making the same claim. Very quickly, confusion appears. One person is talking about whether the keys are present in the current window. Another is talking about whether they still exist somewhere. Another is talking about what will happen next. Another is talking about what the situation means. All of them sound related, but they are not the same type. This is exactly what happens in science all the time. People argue as if they disagree about one thing, when in fact they are making different kinds of claims. Type discipline solves this by forcing the claim to declare its kind before anyone tries to test it. Why untyped claims destroy rigor? If claim types are not declared, several kinds of scientific confusion become invisible. First, category mistakes disappear into ordinary language. A person makes an identity claim but argues for it as though it were a prediction, or makes a causal claim and supports it with a mere interpretation. Without type labels, the mismatch hides in plain sight. Second, the wrong tests get applied to the right claims. A perfectly good existence claim can be unfairly criticized because someone demanded a causal proof. A valid interpretive claim can be attacked because someone expected predictive precision. An identity claim can be treated as false because it was tested with the wrong standard. Third, falsifiers become confused. What would count against a predictive claim is not the same as what would count against an identity claim. If you do not know the type, you do not know what failure means. Fourth, uncertainty becomes muddy. The uncertainty of a prediction is not the same as the ambiguity of an interpretation. The tolerance of persistence is not the same as the detection threshold of existence. If types are blurred, uncertainty becomes meaningless. Fifth, composition becomes unstable. Science often combines claims, but if the types are unclear, the composition becomes nonsense. You cannot safely combine a predictive claim and an interpretive claim unless you know exactly how they connect. So part 4.6 introduces a new protection. No public claim without a declared type. That is not bureaucracy. That is scientific clarity. The main kinds of claims. Phi-pattern science recognizes a core set of public claim types. Each type says something different, needs different evidence, and has a different kind of falsifier. Let us walk through them one by one. Existence claims. An existence claim says, there is pattern structure here. It is the simplest public claim. It does not yet say what the pattern means, whether it will persist or whether it causes anything. It only says that some lawful structure is present in the current window under current conditions. Examples. There is a repeating rhythm in this signal. There is a spiral structure in this shell. There is a detectable cluster in this dataset. The test for existence is detection within a declared window. The question is the pattern there, above threshold, under these conditions? Existence is not yet identity, prediction, causation, or meaning. B. Identity or equivalence claims. An identity claim says A and B are the same pattern under declared lawful transformations. This is not about whether pattern exists at all. It is about whether two descriptions refer to the same pattern. Examples. This melody is the same as that melody, only shifted higher. This image is the same structure seen from a different angle. These two equations describe the same pattern under transformation. The test for identity is invariance under allowed transformations. The question is, what survives lawful change? Identity does not ask what will happen next. It does not ask what the pattern means. It asks whether sameness is preserved. C. Persistence claims. A persistence claim says, this pattern continues as itself across change. Persistence is identity through transformation or over time-like variation. Examples. This river is still the same river even though the water changes. This person remains the same person across years. This pattern continues despite noise and small perturbation. The test for persistence is re-identification across change. The question is, can this still be recognized as itself under declared tolerances? Persistence is not simple existence because it includes continuity across variation. D. Predictive claims. A predictive claim says, given this, that will follow. It constrains future or unseen states. Examples. If this weather pattern continues, rain will come tomorrow. Given this signal trend, the next peak should appear here. If the patient continues treatment, symptoms should decline. The test for prediction is future correspondence. The question is, did the world later behave as predicted within uncertainty bounds? Prediction is not identity. It is not interpretation. It is a disciplined claim about continuation. E. Intervention causal claims. An intervention claim says, doing X yields Y. This is stronger than prediction. It is not just saying Y follows X. It says changing X makes a lawful difference to Y. Examples. Giving this drug lowers fever. Cutting this signal source removes the oscillation. Pressing this switch activates the machine. The test for intervention is controlled change. The question is, if I act, does the pattern outcome change because of that action? Causation requires stronger standards than mere correlation. F. Emergent claims. An emergent claim says a new pattern now exists from prior structure. This type is often abused, so type discipline is essential here. Examples. A hurricane emerges from atmospheric conditions. New collective behavior emerges from many local interactions. A stable wave pattern emerges from prior disorder. The test for emergence is not just it looks new. It requires lawful source accounting and stable new structure at the relevant level. The question is, has genuinely new certifiable structure appeared, and can it be traced lawfully from prior structure? Emergence is not mere naming. It is not poetic surprise. It is a typed claim with real obligations. G. Interpretive claims. An interpretive claim says pattern A can be read as B under a declared mapping. Interpretation is real, but it is not the same as structure alone. Examples. This symbol means danger. This waveform can be read as speech. This facial expression can be read as joy. The test for interpretation is mapping fidelity. The question is, does this mapping preserve enough structure to justify the claimed meaning? Interpretation is not automatically false. It is simply a different type and must not be smuggled in as existence or identity. H. Null refusal claims. A null or refusal claim says, no pattern is certifiable here under current access and current thresholds. This does not mean nothing exists. It means nothing is publicly certifiable under these conditions. Examples. No periodic signal was detected. No stable relationship could be certified. Under current resolution, no pattern is legible. The test for null is disciplined, lawful failure to certify despite appropriate search. This is scientific humility in formal form. 4. Type determines test. Now we reach the heart of part 4.6. Different claim types require different tests. That means you cannot simply bring evidence in the abstract. Evidence must match type. An existence claim is tested by detection. An identity claim is tested by invariance. A persistence claim is tested by re-identification across change. A predictive claim is tested by later correspondence. An intervention claim is tested by controlled manipulation. An emergent claim is tested by lawful appearance of new stable structure. An interpretive claim is tested by fidelity of mapping. A null claim is tested by discipline failure under lawful search. This is why type discipline is so powerful. It tells you not only what the claim says, but what kind of test would even make sense. Without that, science becomes argument without a stable grammar. Type determines falsifier. A falsifier is what would count against the claim, and different claim types have different falsifiers. For an existence claim, the falsifier is failure to detect the pattern under appropriate conditions. For an identity claim, the falsifier is failure of invariance to match under declared lawful transformations. For a persistence claim, the falsifier is identity breakdown beyond declared tolerances. For a predictive claim, the falsifier is mismatch between predicted and actual continuation. For an intervention claim, the falsifier is failure of controlled action to produce the claimed outcome. For an emergent claim, the falsifier is that the new structure was already present, or that it is not stable, or that it is merely an artifact of scale or preprocessing. For an interpretive claim, the falsifier is mapping failure. The supposed meaning does not preserve or track the relevant structure. For a null claim, the falsifier is successful certification of a pattern under the same declared conditions. So again, type determines what failure means. Without declared type, falsification becomes confused and arbitrary. Type determines uncertainty. Part 4.6 also teaches that uncertainty is not one single thing. Existence uncertainty is about detection limits. Identity uncertainty is about tolerances and allowed transformations. Persistence uncertainty is about how much change can occur before identity breaks. Predictive uncertainty is about future spread and range. Intervention uncertainty is about confounds and control strength. Emergent uncertainty is about whether newness is stable or scale dependent. Interpretive uncertainty is about ambiguity in mapping. Null uncertainty is about legibility limits. If all uncertainty is treated as the same, then scientific honesty collapses. Type discipline gives uncertainty its proper shape. The most common type mistakes. Now let us name the most frequent corruptions. Predictive claims disguised as interpretation. Someone says, "This pattern means a crash is coming." That sounds interpretive, but it secretly predicts a future event. If it implies future outcome, it must face predictive tests. Interpretation disguised as identity. Someone says, "These two things are the same because they mean the same thing." Meaning similarity is not enough for identity. Identity needs invariance criteria. Causation disguised as correlation. Someone sees co-occurrence and announces intervention truth. That is type inflation. Emergence disguised as storytelling. Someone says, "Something new has emerged," but all they really mean is, "I have a new way of describing it." Emergence requires lawful source accounting and new stable structure, not rhetorical excitement. It worked, therefore it is true. A practical success is treated as proof of deep truth, but operational usefulness is not identical to epistemic certification. Type discipline blocks this collapse. So part 4.6 protects science from category mistakes that look persuasive but fail structurally. Type compatibility and mixed claims. Claims often combine. A scientist may say, "This pattern exists. It is the same as one seen earlier. It persists. It predicts this next state." Those are multiple claims, not one undifferentiated blob. Mixed claims are allowed, but they must be explicitly composed. That means each component type must be declared, each must meet its own tests, and the composition rules must be lawful. For example, an identity claim can combine with a predictive claim, but only if the identity relation and predictive model are both declared and compatible. Type discipline makes composition possible because it prevents accidental fusion of unlike claims. The type gate. Now the framework installs its next gate, type gate. Before a claim is evaluated, it must declare its type. This is mandatory. The type gate asks 1. What kind of claim is this? 2. Does the evidence match that type? 3. Does the test match that type? 4. Does the falsifier match that type? 5. Has the claim drifted into a different type mid-argument? If no type is declared, the claim cannot be certified. If the type changes without declaration, the claim cannot be certified. If the wrong test is used, the claim cannot be certified. This gate is not a bureaucratic burden. It is the minimum structure required for real rigor. 10. Type discipline in everyday life. To see how natural this really is, return to ordinary life. A friend says, "You never listen to me. What type is this?" It could be an existence claim. There is a pattern of not listening. A persistence claim. This pattern has continued. A predictive claim. You will likely do it again. An interpretive claim. Your behavior means you do not care. If the type is not clarified, the argument becomes chaos. One person defends against the existence claim. Another hears a moral interpretation. Another hears a prediction. No one is discussing the same thing. Type discipline is not called formalism. It is everyday sanity. 11. Why this matters for all later science. Part 4.6 is a turning point because it prepares the entire rest of the structure. Without typed claims, falsifiability becomes vague. Failure taxonomy becomes unstable. Public certification becomes muddy. Evidence standards drift. Disagreement turns into noise. With typed claims, evidence can be matched to what is asserted. Falsifiers can be declared honestly. Uncertainty can be shaped properly. Mixed claims can be decomposed. Public discussion becomes clear. So this part is not just a small procedural add-on. It is the grammar of scientific seriousness. 12. What part 4.6 installs? By the end of this part, several things are now firmly in place. First, every public claim must declare its type. Second, type determines the proper test. Third, type determines the proper falsifier. Fourth, type determines the proper uncertainty form. Fifth, claim types are not interchangeable. Sixth, type drift without declaration is a form of corruption. Seventh, the type gate is now part of the architecture of certification. This makes the science far stronger because it no longer confuses what is being asked. 13. Refusal conditions. This part also has clear refusal conditions. A claim must be refused if no type is declared, the claim changes type without declaration, the test does not match the declared type, a category mistake is present. Again, refusal is not failure, it is disciplined honesty. 14. The road to part 5. Now a new question appears. Once a claim is typed, we still need to know what exactly is being tracked. Are we tracking the pattern itself, the claim about the pattern, the certificate outcome, or the supporting artifacts? These are not the same. A pattern may remain the same while claims about it evolve. A claim may persist while the certificate changes. Artifacts may be replaced while the pattern identity remains. So the next necessity is to distinguish these identities carefully. That brings us to part 5, the fourfold identity: pattern, claim, certificate, artifact. Because once public claims are typed, we must know exactly what is being carried across time, transformation, and procedure. Part 4.6 teaches one simple but powerful lesson. Not all claims are the same kind of claim. And because they are not the same kind, they do not deserve the same tests, the same evidence, the same falsifiers, or the same uncertainty language. So before any public claim enters the science, it must say what kind of claim it is. That is type discipline. And that is how rigor becomes possible without confusion. Always peace be upon you.